What's up, 444? It is Davis Maddock with you this week. No Neil Orfield. Neil was supposed to be in Nashville. He's now not in Nashville. He's sick. He's sicker than I am. And I said I wasn't gonna leave you guys all on your own. Yeah. The YouTube earlier was calling me Doris Maddock, Pat. They were there because my voice is totally gone. So you guys are gonna have to stick with me. I'm fine. I'll be okay. Crane and we're going to break down all the games. Crane, how did, I can't remember. Were you a Josh Allen boy last week or did we say?
No, I was not nearly excited enough about that game. Because we were talking last week, like, Josh Allen, yeah, he keeps getting there, but
no one gets there with him.
No one gets there with them and he's expensive. What's the point, And then he just absolutely went nuclear.
He just gets there easily.
And then the whole game gets there, yeah. So no, I wasn't on Josh Allen foolishly.
Yeah, I had Darnold, I had Jefferson, obviously Charbonnet and Guerrero.
Right.
The Braylon Allen thing, I felt very good about where he ended up in ownership. He only ended up being about 15% owned in contests compared to like what Guerrero was owned.
Yeah.
And I expected Isaiah Davis to play. I don't think I expected it to be a 50-50 timeshare.
I didn't either.
That is what it ended up being. So that was a bit strange. I don't think that playing Braylon Allen was, obviously it feels kind of fucked up in retrospect because Charbonnet got 40 points. So
Charbonnet.
Yeah.
And Guerrero, I mean,
Guerrero absolutely smashed as well. But guys, if you have not got your 444 subscription and you want to do it for the postseason, it's super cheap right now. I think it's literally $5 if you want to get it for the postseason and for the playoffs. So you can go ahead and do that. I don't have Neil's article pulled up, so I'm just going to go in the order of what I have in my projection sheet. And the first game in my projection sheet is, I think you'd maybe want to know what happens in this game for all of them. Dallas and Carolina, Pat. We've got super Rico chalk, super Hubbard chalk, maybe not enough chalk on Adam Thielen, honestly. I think Adam Thielen is, I think he's my favorite 5K wide receiver play of the week. And it looks like the field will play him some, but they're not going to like super jam him.
Yeah, Thielen's a pretty strong play. I mean, I've talked about, now the Cowboys aren't like horrendous against the pass, and they are horrendous against the run, but they're not very good against the pass. We're like, they were really good last year, and they're just not a team you have to fear through the air now. So I like kind of pivoting a little bit because Chuba Hubbard's going to be like massive chalk. It looks like
massive.
Yeah. So Thielen makes sense as kind of, a little bit of leverage, and you're getting some of the goodness of the matchup, even though the pass defense isn't as soft as the run defense, and Chuba will get there, I think, from, he's going to run for a decent amount of yards. But what if he doesn't score, and he doesn't catch like a ton of passes? So
no, they're very loath to use him on passing downs. Like they've done everything they could to get him off the field on passing downs.
It's a little Kyrie from like last night, or you could see something like that, or a little like Saquon versus the Panthers as well, where you're like, I know I'm probably getting that, the 100-yard bonus for Chuba, but what, if he doesn't score, it's survivable. So, I mean, it's more than survivable potentially. You're excited about not having him. That said, I mean, he's a very, very strong play, but man, it's such big chalk that you have to start thinking about pivots. I think at least a little bit.
I prefer Rico at what I expect them to be owned. I think Hubbard will be the most, even with Rachaad White, who we'll get to. I bet Hubbard will be the most owned player of the slate by 10% over everyone else. And I bet Rico will be closer to 20% than to 30%, if that makes sense. we'll see what happens with Rachaad White and Bucky Irving. I would imagine Rachaad White will be more owned than Rico. Rico's just playing great, man. He's playing
been
really
playing
well.
awesome. Yeah. It's kind of wild. Like he was not his efficiency profile was not impressive for much of the season, but it started to pop because he's running for over 100 yards a game in the last two with good efficiency. So that'll help you.
5.7 yards per carry. Yeah.
The one thing that worries me, like if I'm saying, oh, let's play Rico instead of Chuba, you look at the matchup. It's easier. I mean, the Panthers really are bad at everything, on defense. So you can move the ball through the air. Cooper Rush should be totally fine. I don't know that there's like a huge difference, even with the Young playing better, between the quarterback play. Like if you're kind of projecting going forward, you'd rather have Young, but given the matchup, it's not like a huge tiebreaker. The thing that makes me more nervous about Rico is like, imagine it's second and goal at the 4. Chuba's getting that carry.
He's getting that carry.
Rico, I feel like, is getting the kind of half-hearted play action, and we're throwing it up to Ferguson in the corner and incomplete. And then they're lining up in the shotgun on 3rd and 4.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Right. So I'm just like,
nail on the head.
So I think Chuba, I guess it would have, I have to know I'm getting the ownership discount, because you are getting some savings with Rico, say 400 on DraftKings. So if it's close, I think you want to pay up and get Chuba. If it's close in ownership, I think you want to pay up and get Chuba. But if there's like a big ownership discount, then Rico is still a strong play as well, but yeah, the touchdown equity concerns me a little.
I don't think I'm that worried about the touchdown equity. I think you add up enough of those 2nd and 4 chances. you get 5 of those in a game, basically.
Sure. Okay.
Against the Panthers.
Yeah.
Yeah. If this was their home to the Eagles as 7-point dogs, he's unplayable, I think.
Right. Yeah. No, the thing about Rico that's a little frustrating as well is like the dude can really run for 8 yards, but you're not breaking off like a 25-yard touchdown.
He sure ain't. No.
So you're kind of like the goal line rolls a little. I mean, and Rico's going to be pretty heavy chalk as well. Relative to Chuba, it's like, let me get off the chalk. But you're not getting off the chalk with Rico. He's, by a normal week standards, really chalky. So, I'm actually, I would like to look for ways to not play either, given how popular they'll be.
I don't know about that, man. They're like the best. Like in my sheet, Hubbard is the 5th highest projected period running back.
Yeah.
And Dowdle is the 9th.
So do you think Rachaad White probably steals enough of that I rethink that take? I'm looking at ownership projections don't really count for the potential Bucky to be out.
Yes.
So if White kind of comes in as a 3rd, then right now though, I would be playing White if he was the lowest owned of those 3.
I bet that White ends up more owned than Rico.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah.
Thielen. The guy, if you didn't know who he was and you didn't know he was a 34-year-old white slot wide receiver and all you got to see were his stats, you'd be like, is this AJ Brown? You'd look at his stats and you'd be like, is this guy? This guy's the best. This guy's the best wide receiver in fantasy in the last month.
You had me, man. You had me. You could have said so many names, and I was like, yeah. But you went to AJ Brown. That's a little hot.
It's okay. This guy's Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Honestly, yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
I'm on board.
He's got since Bryce started playing well, he's top 5 in the NFL in targets per route run.
It's nuts, man. He's got 2.10 yards per route run for the season with Andy Dalton and Bryce Young.
That's really good. That's really good.
Really good.
Like that's really good if you were playing with like CJ Stroud,
Yeah. It's almost two Tank Dells what he's doing right there.
That's almost 2 Tank Dells. Yeah. So I don't think this is a like a sheer volume play. Like you could potentially survive a game where he only gets 6 catches. Like he might still get 102 yards. Well, probably not. He probably gets 88 yards and a touchdown if he only gets 6 catches.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, and I think with the Cowboys being so bad against the run,
Bad.
The Panthers will keep the ball moving. Like Chuba's been, dude, he's in NFL Next Gen's success rate. He's at 50%, which like 40% is pretty good. So he's number one, running back one in that mark. Just has run incredible this year. And I think like normally I wouldn't be saying like the run game will keep the chains moving and keep drives alive, but I think this run game against this defense will really, really help do that. Almost like a good short passing game or something. I think it could be very efficient, which is good for the offense. What do you think about playing Hubbard and Thielen together? Do you have any interest in that?
It's fine. I mean, I don't know if I'm rushing to do it, but like I don't know if I sit down on Sunday morning and that's the first team I build. But I don't think it's bad, and I don't think you have to play Bryce Young on that team.
No, you definitely don't. And I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on now to the Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs. Just like a very small chance this game is fun. But the things that are going against it, Njoku's probably not going to play. Tillman's ruled out. The Chiefs' new left tackle, DJ Humphries, is probably not going to play. So they're back to the rookie left tackle who stinks. And this is also a potential bad weather game. So that's a lot of, I guess it's just going to be Isaiah Pacheco then, which like the Browns are not going to be able to stop them from doing that, from running. They're a terrible run defense, just a terrible defense in general, which is strange because they have such good individual players.
They do have a good pass rush. They're first in pressure rate.
Not what you want against Mahomes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mean for this game being good?
For this game being,
yeah.
What the Chiefs will do, they did this against the Chargers. They just switched to like this insanely quick passing offense. They were just like, all right, snap it, get it out. Like don't even the time it would take for a rusher to get to you if they were unimpeded, get the ball out before that. And it worked.
You know who I compared him to this week in the walkthrough?
Minshew.
LegendaryUpside.com, by the way. I compared him to Tua.
That's exactly what he's doing. It's exactly what they're doing. Yeah.
They're doing the Miami Dolphins quick game Tua stuff kind of. So I looked at quick throws on NFL Next Gen. 2.5 seconds or less. That's definition there. He's racked up 55 EPA. That's the second highest mark in the league behind Tua. On longer throws, 2.6 seconds or more, he's at minus 33 EPA, quarterback 22. So that's like what we're seeing with Tua. He's 69 EPA on quick throws, barely in the positive on long throws at quarterback 10. So Mahomes is kind of like, it's like the Tua dynamic, but even more exaggerated. And then I was looking at like years past. This is just like, I think this is why it feels like this isn't Mahomes, because he used to be awesome on long throws. He had 83 EPA in 2018 on long throws, which led the NFL. He was quarterback from 2019 through 2022. He's quarterback 3, quarterback 6, quarterback 10, and quarterback 1 on long throws. Last year in the playoffs, he posted 10 EPA over 4 postseason games, which would have been in line with that 2019 to 2022 run. So he kind of reverted back to the good, playmaking Mahomes last year in the playoffs. But last year he cratered to minus 32 EPA. And he's been even worse this season on those long throws. And then you got this pass rush. I just think we get the same old kind of crap that we've been getting this whole year.
Yeah.
Like they're going to get the ball out super quick. They're going to run the ball. I think maybe we could get volume from the Brown side. I think Jameis Winston could be fun here, but
yeah,
I don't see Mahomes. I think it's more the same from the Chiefs.
I like Kelsey on that side. His expected volume has remained good. He just hasn't cashed in any touchdowns. But like I believe he's tied in 3 in expected points. Like I know the Noah Gray stuff is like kind of fun, but yeah, it's gonna. I mean, Kelsey is he's less expensive than Trey McBride, and he's gonna be about 5%. McBride's gonna be about 25%. The thing about the Jameis side is I don't like him as much without Tillman and Njoku, because now you're down to Jordan Akins and Michael Woods running routes. Now, Jameis, he like doesn't care. It's like Jameis is getting the ball out to whoever's there, but it's just less likely that Michael Woods is getting them. Although the Chiefs defense, I mean, since I gotta learn the name of the cornerback. It messes me up because his name is like Jalen Warren, but it's not. It's well, and the Chiefs also have Justin Watt. I think it's Jalen Watson.
Okay.
So since he's
that
been
would mess
out,
me up bad, yeah.
Yeah. So since he's been out, they've been brutal. They're, I believe, 24th in the NFL in EPA per play on defense.
Man.
So, not great.
By the way, Travis Kelce, he's tight end 6 in open score.
Yeah. This is the money stat.
He is tight end 33 in yak score.
Him and Zach Ertz are the Spider-Man.
They really are. Zach Ertz is tight end 35. So he's 2 spots worse in yak score, but he is 1 spot better in open score. It's a Zach Ertz era. By the way, we're seeing the exact same thing with Mark Andrews. He's tight end 2 in open score and tight end 32 in yak score. They become Zach Ertz. Both of them became Zach Ertz. You really hate to see it.
Zach Ertz is a good player. Zach Ertz still getting it done on a playoff team, Pat. People are saying.
Really glad we took Zach Ertz in the 3rd and 4th round of best ball drafts this year. A lot of fun. Zach
Ertz with 100 catches. People are saying it's okay. People are saying it's all right. They I don't know if they're right, but they are saying it. All right, the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans is up next. 21.5 point team total for the Dolphins, 24.5 point team total for the Texans. I mean, just an all-time matchup of teams that we thought were going to be fun 4 months ago and are playing some of the most boring, eye-melting, offensive football. Turning. What's a bigger crime? Turning Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devin Achane into a quick passing, ground and pound offense, or turning what CJ Stroud was last year into Alex Smith? What's worse? It's honestly hard for me to say.
I don't. The thing with the Dolphins that really bothers me is like I wish they were ground and pound, but they what they're doing with Devon Achane isn't even ground and pound. Like
it's because they have the worst offensive line. He has nowhere to run.
It's so bad. He's been a good receiver. The thing about this matchup is it's kind of like the Chiefs matchup for me, where like I look at what the Dolphins are doing, and then I look at like what the Texans are good at on defense, and it's like, okay, they're gonna do exactly what they've been doing. Like there's a reason, right? Like they're trying to protect Tua, they're trying to keep him clean. Tua has a 21% pressure rate, which I believe is the lowest in the league, super low. 2.40 seconds time to throw, which is crazy fast. And those two are directly correlated, right? They're getting the ball out extremely quickly. It's preventing pressure. The Dolphins don't rate well in the offensive line metrics, but they are first in pressure rate. So they're succeeding in preventing pressure by getting the ball out super quick. But Texans are 3rd in pressure rate. They're 7th in time to pressure. They're 1st in pass rush win rate. Really good pass rush here. They're going to get the ball out really quick. I was writing in the walkthrough, I think it's probably, back to Jonnu Smith here. The yak stuff, the short target stuff. Jalen Waddle has been seeing more work recently, but I think this kind of shifts from Waddle and over to Smith, and Hill and Achane will kind of get theirs, but Hill's not been getting his like we thought he would. I think he'll get his, in line with this season. But yeah, I could see this being a really nice game for Smith.
It's always a good game for Smith, although it wasn't last week. 0-0-0 until overtime. The nice thing about this game is if you do like anyone from this game, no one in the field agrees with you. Everyone thinks you're an idiot. You're going to show up and everyone's going to be like, the idiot? Why are you playing Devin A-Chain? Maybe
Right.
not even Mixon. Not even Mixon's really going to get owned here.
Well, the side of it that looks the most volatile to me is actually the Texans passing game. So I was noting, like, we've dealt with two things with the Texans. Stroud hasn't been very good. He's had a number of games where he's below 50th percentile in EPA per play or right there. And he has had very few games where he's been even really that good. His peak this year is 77th percentile. That was against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which are obviously terrible against the pass. 74th percentile against the Colts in week 1 is the second best mark of the year. And then third best is just 66th. I mean, with like Josh Allen and stuff, it's like he's got like 6 games of the 95th percentile better type stuff. Like these elite guys, they go off in a given week, and we haven't seen that from Stroud all season. And then you have this conservative play calling from Bobby Sloak for much of the year, but over the last 3 games, they've been much, much more aggressive. On 1st and 10, they've had PROEs of 25%, 19%, and 30% in their last 3 games, which is like really aggressive stuff. And then overall, 8%, 7%, and 11%. The Dolphins have a pretty decent pass rush. The Texans aren't pass protecting well. So you could see the Texans go conservative again, try to run the ball, protect Stroud that way. The Dolphins are pretty good against the run, so that they're not like a clear run funnel. This isn't, I would say, that similar to like the Mahomes versus the Browns matchup where like, oh, it's so obvious, just run. It is easier to move the ball through the air against the Dolphins. They're only 24th in dropback success rate against. So, and the reason is they're really bad in coverage. They're 31st in PFF's coverage grades. So like we have seen flashes of a much more aggressive Bobby Slowick over a 3-game sample, the most recent 3 games. They're coming out of their bye, like maybe they're like, yeah, this is who we want to be, and they're attacking a really weak secondary. And yeah, I don't think anyone's really playing them. So I think you could do Stroud Nico here and embrace the volatility. Like I don't know, to use Ben Gretch's terms, there's some kind of input volatility here. Like I really don't know which version of the Texans we're going to get, but I could see them being pretty aggressive and attacking the secondary after the pass rates over the last 3 weeks.
I don't think they're going to be. Here's the difference. Aggressive for the Texans might mean 34 pass attempts here. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I mean, I think that.
And Stroud is cheaper. Stroud is cheaper now, so it's not like you're paying 7.2K for Stroud. 6.2. Nico is 8.1. If you wanted to use a bring back Jonnu, Tyreek, they're not super taxed. There are some punts. Like you could definitely do it.
So we've gotten pass rates the last 3 games. I mentioned the pass rates over expected, but the pass rates were 63%, 75%, and 66%. Those are pretty healthy rates. 75% is pretty damn nice. And I think the Dolphins will be able to move the ball. It's probably going to be slow. Like, they're working on so many completions and like they kind of got to dink and dunk down the field. So maybe that sucks volume out, but I don't think they're going to roll the Dolphins. And so I think dropbacks are in play. There's a path to dropbacks.
There is a path, but also the Texans are home favorites, so like we're just going to require the Dolphins to press them. Yeah. Which I think increases. If you are doing that, I do think you want to use a Dolphin, and you're kind of hoping for an A-Chain efficiency game or a Tyreek efficiency game. Like you're hoping like, oh shit, the Dolphins are up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter or something.
Yeah, I think the second you're putting a Dolphin in, though, you're like,
yeah. You're like, shit.
I think I want the Dolphins to push them, but I don't think I'm going to play a Dolphin because I said I like Jonnu. I like him like to do well in this game. I don't think I like him at 5,400 on the slate.
Yeah.
I don't like A-Chan at 7,900. So I think I would just like hope the Dolphins push them, but that you don't need any of those guys.
Probably the only guy I'm super interested in is A-Chain. Like he'll like
okay.
Stroud, Nico. Sure. Will I ever say that's bad? Absolutely not. But might just play Adam Thielen instead of Nico. I'll get my 25 I'll get my 25 points that way.
What a year.
What a year. Speaking of what a year. Oh my God. The New York Jets against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can't believe we're here with either of these teams. Two of the most hopeless franchises in American professional sports history. Every week, Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams project well. Breece Hall is now going to play after the coach saying it doesn't look good yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. I think Brenton Strange projects well as a $2,500 min punt. He's leveraged on Stone Smart, who's going to be chalk. And you know what? Brian Thomas Jr. just gets so many targets, such an unbelievable targets per route run and yards per route run, by the way, for a guy on a terrible team.
Yeah.
Like he's just a very, very good player. Yeah. And if these slappy idiots are going to be playing Adam Thielen, I think we got to get to Brian Thomas. Like Brian Thomas Jr. will be less owned than Ladd, less owned than T, maybe less owned than Ridley, probably less owned than Cortland Sutton. And then I'm just like, shit. Brian Thomas Jr. is the 9th most owned guy on the slate. Okay, I'm in. What do you think about the Jets?
I mean, theoretically, it's kind of an awesome spot, for the passing game.
It's like the spot. The Jaguars are the worst defense in the NFL.
Yeah, although you don't have to pass on them. But the Jets' run game hasn't been that great, and they're also they are willing to pass. And then, yeah, Rodgers. I mean, the Jaguars suck at everything on pass defense. So Rodgers will have time to throw. I wrote up last week, and then he bounced back a bit. But I wrote up he just really seems to be playing doesn't want to get hit and getting the ball out really, really quick. But the Jaguars are 31st in pressure rate, 29th in time to pressure, dead last in pass rush win rate. So he should have plenty of time. Open up some. I mean, I could see Rodgers looking like Rodgers again in this game, just because the matchup's so soft. Where you're like, oh, maybe Rodgers is getting it together, and then he looks like absolute crap the following week. Although I don't know who they play, because this matchup is. Yeah, it's the type of matchup that could revive the passing game a little bit. So I think Rodgers, Adams, Wilson are all in play. I don't know that I'll do it. Not the biggest Rodgers guy here, so I'll willingly admit some bias, but I think they're all pretty good plays, and ultimately I could see myself ending up even playing them here.
I just will probably fall for the Garrett Wilson thing. He's 6,500. He looked pretty good last week. It was Rodgers' first 300 passing yard game in 3 years. And theoretically, it would be a good spot for Breece Hall. I won't have the courage I will not have the courage to pick that off. There are just too many good running back plays. But if Breece was healthy, if this was a spot where Breece was healthy and the Jets were playing for something, if the Jets had 10 wins right now, how owned would Breece Hall be in this spot? He'd be the most owned running back of the slate here against the Jaguars.
At 6,400, we're talking about playing Rico. We would be jamming Breece Hall at 6,400.
Yeah, super jam.
If he were healthy, we'd be playing him over Chuba.
Easy. I mean, if he were healthy and they were good, heuld be 8,000. So it'd be a different conversation.
Right. But this would be the DraftKings broke the slate because they priced $1,600 too low Breece Hall. Yeah.
If he doesn't play, are you into either of Isaiah Davis or Braylon Allen?
So you feel more confident about Braylon Allen being out there, but Isaiah Davis has been better. Allen Allen looks good to me, but I was looking at his like rush yards over expected, and he's horrible. So and then you also have the data point of him immediately being in a split, so it clearly isn't like blowing away the coaches, who are watching the tape pretty closely, I would assume. So I don't know. I mean, I think maybe Brees going and mixing him in some is the bigger advantage for us.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I probably I think Braylon is more likely to be a multi-touchdown scorer in a given week if Brees doesn't go. Just because he's gotten more of the short yardage stuff, although they like to throw the ball to Isaiah Davis on like the 12-yard line.
Also, like Rodgers is checking, he's checking out of those run plays at the 4.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Braylon got a carry at the 8-yard line last week.
He's doing that little he flicks it as he kind of falls back a little. Yeah, Tyler Conklin.
I'm so sick of that guy. Really, he's gonna look great on the Raiders next year. He's
gonna look great this week.
He is. I mean, dude, Aaron Rodgers doubles this week. Rodgers, Adam, Garrett Wilson. Yeah. Yeah, I was running.
Dude, you can throw Brees in with Rodgers. Like
I wouldn't, because I think that Isaiah Davis is like enough of a pain in the ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I think he's playing. I think he's playing third downs, regardless. Now, he's been really good. He scored the touchdown that set up overtime 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's just, I mean, we liked him in the big board, Pat.
We did. We did.
We got some points. Some of my 10th place teams in the big board, they're rocking it up. Yeah.
The 1%. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Probably my favorite play relative to ownership of the slate is in this next game. The Washington Football Commanders team total of 25.5. The New Orleans Saints 18.5. Before I reveal my play, I'll let you go on the Washington Commanders and the New Orleans Saints.
Is your play Brian Robinson?
Yeah.
Give us the spiel. I don't want to steal it.
Every like 97 IQ DFS player is going to be playing Brian Robinson Jr. this week. It's very easy. He fits right in over Hubbard or Rico in any of your lineups, and he'll be about 10% owned, probably more in the fake sharp contests. Like in the spy, he's going to be 18% because every fucking 97 IQ guy who like has a sim subscription, it's like, dude, he projects basically the same as Rico and he's half his owned. But basically,
that's just a good point. You're just making a good point.
I'm just making good points. Yeah. He has seen huge snap spikes in every game that Eckler hasn't played. Has not necessarily translated to rushes because Chris Rodriguez or McWeapon ends up getting a bunch of the rushes in the second half. So that could happen here. And it's why he's not nearly as safe. And it's why he won't project as well. But if this game is even, if it's within a touchdown in the third quarter, his most rushes on the year came in that win against Arizona, where they were up the whole time, but it was never out of reach. He got 21 rushes in that game. That is basically what you are hoping for. And he gets a little bit of passing work, like not any this year, but he was a good receiver last year. I wonder if basically, really what it is they like McWeapon more than they liked Gibson. That's really what it is they like him in that role more than they liked no, they like McWeapon more than they liked Chris Rodriguez last year when Gibson was out.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's what it is. But all that being said, Brian Robinson Jr. as like, he's like salary leverage on Rico and Hubbard. And would you really be surprised? No one would be surprised to be outscored, both of those guys, at all.
No, it wouldn't be like, how could this happen? Yeah. I mean, the Saints suck in run defense.
Terrible.
They're really bad at it. It's a pretty comparable spot to Derrick Henry.
It's the same. It's the exact same spot. Just Brian Robinson Jr. is obviously not as good.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's the exact same setup. It's like horrendous quarterback play on the other side. I guess like the Giants will probably be like a little bit more interested in passing and therefore extending the game a little bit, which helps Henry. But they have like a 13-point implied team total, so Vegas does not expect much pushback from the Giants. The Saints are at 18, so maybe there is a little bit more pushback. And the Saints are 29th in EPA allowed per rush. They're worse than the Giants in run defense. Jaden Daniels will be pretty effective here, I think. But Cliff Kingsbury still really likes to run. Like fundamentally, he's kind of a run first guy. I like this play a lot. I think it's a very, very strong way to pivot. I said I was looking for ways to play, different running backs other than those top two in some lineups. This is like a really easy way to not play Rico or Chuba. It's just the straight pivot off. But what are you sacrificing? I think he's probably just a stronger play than Rico straight up. I feel better about his touchdown equity than Rico's.
His touchdown equity is better, but his catching, his receiving equity is lower, and his overall, like Rico, I would be surprised if he does not get the ball 20 times. I would not be surprised at all if Brian Robinson has 12 rushes for 68 yards and a touchdown, 1 reception for 4 yards, no touchdowns. And that's how the game goes, Like
I would set the line for Rico more like 18 touches, but I completely get your point. I think you're right that Robinson at like 12 carries would not shock me at all.
Like Chris
Wouldn't
Rodriguez,
really surprise me even.
Chris Rodriguez, who they've waived in games this year, has had 13 rushes and 11 rushes. Like they cut this guy, and they did that instead of, and he's back on the team now, but they waived him. Like a very good comp to this would be that game against Tennessee where they just totally smoked them. He starts the game out with a 40-yard rushing touchdown and ends with, 16, 103 and 1. Awesome game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not like, obviously I like him, but I just like his for what, and also, he plays with a running quarterback, so he can have a rushing touchdown stolen at any time.
Yeah, he can, but it's not. He doesn't play with Hurts, It's a little different.
Yes, no, definitely, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not fudding my own bags here. Like I think he's a good play. Better.
He struggled with injuries at times this year, and I wonder if some of like our perception of they wouldn't just feed him would be related to that.
He was really questionable with the knee injury.
He missed games. I mean, he's been kind of in and out, and I think healthy now. I didn't see any reports of him missing any practice this week. So
yeah. Zach Ertz, man. Zach Ertz. No Noah Brown. Great matchup. Where does Zach Ertz rank in targets amongst tight ends? This is I don't know the answer to this question, and it's gonna make me both mad and laugh when I get the answer.
It's got to be like 5th or something stupid like that.
All right, I'll pull up the season stats for tight ends on 7th, Fantasy maybe? Life. Yeah, I bet it's definitely top 10. It's definitely top 10. Amongst and he's probably way up there in terms of total routes too. In terms of I can't get total targets. In terms of utilization score, he's 8th. In terms of targets per route, run, with a minimum of 150 routes, it's actually lower in targets per route run. Only 19%.
But that's if we
kind
want
of
to make
belies,
this point,
yeah,
because he runs a ton of routes. Let me pull. I got targets in my spreadsheet here. Let me see. So targets, it looks like it's Bowers, Kelsey McBride, Otten, Njoku is 5, Henry, Jonnu, and Ertz is 8th. He's ahead of Kittle.
Yep.
He's ahead of Ingram, who missed a bunch of time, but
Yeah.
What a year.
Look, it's just that's just the truth, man. It's just it is what it is. Any Saint, I mean, Kamara every week he projects for 27 points, and now they have Jake Haener, and now it's all over.
One thing that was kind of funny to me is that I went and looked, and I was like, Kamara, obviously without Carr, that's going to hurt him. I pulled up the Road of his Game Splits app. It's 3 games that he's played without Carr this year. His targets have gone up. Yeah, 8.7 per game compared to 5.9 with Carr. They don't have anybody else. I don't know. He's probably like a good play, and he's like pretty safe for volume, so maybe you don't need to worry about the ceiling as much. But is he really going to go nuts with Jake Haener? Like, it just feels like the ceiling is probably a little capped. But he can kind of like bury you, just like he's like one of these guys who like he gets there with ceiling, but he like never made a good play. He's just like a kind of the 1,000 paper cuts type of thing or whatever.
Yeah. That's how. Yeah, and Washington is very they're terrible.
They're bad.
Run.
They're bad against the run. Yeah.
I've spent worse money than Alvin Kamara and DFS. He's gonna be like 3% owned. No one's playing.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like Kyron Williams yesterday, but instead of 29 carries, it's like 20 and 9 receptions. It's like the exact same crap, but like, and then he also scores, and you're like, yeah, boom, got there.
Yeah. Anyone else from this game? No, I don't think so. Yeah. Look, Kamara gets there, 20 receptions for 33 yards.
Totally
easy.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, he's a pretty good play.
Yeah. All right, we have now got. Who do we have?
I like the Robinson call out there. That's fun. That's actually fun.
It is fun. Gives you something that is cheap. Yeah. Gives you something that is less owned. All right. Speaking of incredible NFL games, the Baltimore Ravens traveling against the New York Giants. They are favored by more points than the Giants have team total. They are 29 and a half point team total.
Yeah.
So they're favored by 15 and a half. And the Giants have a team total of 13 with Tommy DeVito at quarterback. So your question is, does Derrick Henry score once or does he score twice? If he scores twice,
or does he score 3 times?
Or does he score 3 times?
Yeah.
He'll definitely score once.
And
he'll probably score twice.
I think he scores twice, yeah.
But does he score that third time? Does he score that third time, Baccarin?
Probably. Yeah. The thing that Henry really has going for him is that the Ravens have really not messed around. I've talked about this on this pod a bunch, but it's just really striking. I think the Bills game is probably the most striking example of when or was it the Cowboys game where they kind of started to come back, and
the Cowboys kind of came back, and
that's actually the game I was thinking of.
The Raiders came back.
Well, the Raiders won, right?
Yeah.
The Cowboys game, they had a 29% pass rate, and the Cowboys were coming back, and they were it was like they were dead, but they weren't. They were still being frisky, and a lot of teams would have pivoted and thrown a little bit more, but the Ravens were it's kind of like the Rams on Sunday with the Bills, where they were like, oh, we need to keep scoring points. We actually need to start playing more aggressively because here come the Bills. It was here come the Cowboys, and the Ravens were like, yeah, our playing aggressively is just killing you with Derrick Henry. We're going to do that. You're not going to be able to come back. I'm not really that optimistic that they'll pass against a vulnerable pass defense here. I think they probably just take the path of least resistance, hammer Derrick Henry, get a win, go home. This is a team that really needs to win, right? Like I don't think they're gonna like mess around. They're gonna just like do the thing that gives them the obvious thing, right? The obvious thing is just like sledgehammer them with Derrick Henry, and you'll win easily.
Easily. I don't know. I mean, I wish that I could, in good conscience, not play Derrick Henry this week, but it doesn't even look like he's going to be that owned because of the strength of other running backs.
He's like a really good play.
I don't ever really remember Derrick Henry being the highest projected running back of a slate. That is what he is this week. He used
to be back in the day.
You know who's running back too of the whole slate?
Barkley?
No, Slappy Barkley. Chase Brown.
Slappy Barkley.
Chase Brown is Slappy Barkley, and I'm calling him that because every slappy idiot who did get teams through in best ball has Chase Brown.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And Rico Dowdle is Slappy Kamara.
Right. Oh, that is 100% true.
I believe every team I advanced has one of those two players on it.
I think that might be right for me too.
Yeah. I think I probably will. Normally, you would hear me be like, "Oh, Derrick Henry, like I'm not playing Derrick Henry chalk." No, I think you kind of want to play Derrick Henry chalk this week because it's not really chalk because of Rachaad White, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, and even Chase Brown. Even Chase Brown is going to take a good bit of ownership.
I think like you and I and some of our friends and kind of people who play like us are sort of wired to think of like, well, this is such an obvious spot for Derrick Henry, but that's like what the field's going to do. What I'm going to do is pivot and get Zay Flowers on Lamar Jackson. Damn near 30-point team total. If they just lean into this, they're going to score points that way. But I'm like, I don't think the field's really going to play Derrick Henry like that much. So why don't we be the field this week and play Derrick Henry?
Why can't I be one of those people that gets rich off Derrick Henry?
Yeah, why can't I get rich on Derrick Henry? I won the first GPP I ever won was with Derrick Henry. I have made money off Derrick Henry. I've also lost a lot of money fading Derrick Henry, but I have mixed feelings on Derrick Henry.
That's a good question. I've never won. I've never won in DFS with Derrick Henry. I won in DFS with Odell Beckham, which is very funny.
That's good.
Yeah. Unblock me, Bill Barnwell.
Well, you should send him that screenshot and act like it was recent.
This is a long time ago. It was like 2020. It was when he was a Brown.
It had to be.
It was like 2021. Okay. Oh, great game we have here. The Cincinnati Bengals against the Tennessee Titans.
Do you have any hope for Flowers and Lamar? I mostly ask for best ball because I could really use
Flowers.
those guys.
Andrews.
Really
Andrews.
Okay.
Well, you know how it goes in this game. Zay Flowers will get his 6 little flippy do middle of the, what do you guys call it at splash zone? Mm-hmm. He'll get his 3 little splash zone crossers, and if the safety misses, bang. Yeah. There you go. There's your 70-yard touchdown.
So Lamar, he kind of comes back and finds him in the middle. Yeah.
You know exactly what it is. Yeah. And if he does it, probably more likely. The thing you're actually hoping for, I don't know what you have advancing in best ball, but the thing that could happen that Derrick Henry could not get there would be if Henry has multiple 50-yard runs, but he's 30, so he doesn't score on the 50-yard runs anymore, and Andrews cashes in like 3 red zone touchdowns.
I have a lot of Andrews that made it. Yeah.
Or likely. I mean, Lamar could run. I remember a Bengals game a couple of years, the first Lamar MVP season, where Lamar created garbage time himself with a 60-yard touchdown run. It was the one where he spun in the middle of the field. Yeah. Pat, are you a lefty?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Well, how did the commenters realize that? What gave it away?
You were throwing.
I threw. Yeah, I threw with my left hand. Yeah. I am a lefty. Although I'm like weirdly, I like play basketball with my right hand and stuff. I think I'm essentially like not.
I shoot a
I mean,
basketball with my left hand. I'm
interesting.
right-handed, but I
Okay.
shoot a
Okay.
basketball with my left hand. Yeah,
Whatever I learn to do a thing with, then I just do it with
is
that
what
hand.
is what you stick with.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I think the guy who actually might end up being the best play of the slate is in this game. The Cincinnati Bengals team total of 25.5. Titans team total of 20.5. I think Chase Brown might end up actually getting squeezed despite projecting for 1 billion points. Because if you have the triumvirate of Rico, Hubbard, and White, you want to pay $1,000 more for 2 more points? I don't know if people will, man.
Right. Plus, like Robinson's there, so that's gonna get like people like us are gonna be we're gonna be doing the semi-sharp move of going to Robinson. Maybe the sharper moves to go to Chase Brown. I don't know, but if he's tame, he looks pretty chalky to me now. But like if he were 19%, he's like kind of a
slide half of
smash.
that ownership to Rachaad White.
Then he's an incredible play, like one of the best plays on the slate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of
I'm
hard to overstate how much he gets the ball. He gets the ball more often than Barkley does.
It's Kyren, dude. He's Kyren.
He's
But they throw him
Kyren.
a little
He's
bit more.
Kyren with no quorum.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's and with 5 targets a game.
Yeah.
More really.
Yeah, no, it's kind of nuts.
Dude, that receiving touchdown where
then he jumps in the
pitter pattered. Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
Dude,
they marked him out so far. Like he didn't even come close to stepping out. And they marked him out like at the 5.
He definitely came close to stepping out.
No, not for me, because I was like, he's in.
He's in. No, it was one of those things where you could see a blade of grass on the outside of his cleat. Yeah. And then weirdly, I mean, T. Higgins is actually going to be like, people are playing T in cash, which always then translates to tournaments. It's going to lead the number 1 point scoring wide receiver by lots and lots and lots of points to be 8% owned. Burrow and Chase is like combinatorially 6% or something less, probably.
That to me looks like a really, really strong play. Burrow and Chase.
And you can get it salary wise. Like you might have to play like Sterling Shepard or Jalen McMillan or Stone Smart or whatever, but it's pretty easy to get to, really.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Bengals, you like look at the matchups and, is this team, how is this team going to attack here, and can they be pushed and all that stuff? I don't really care with the Bengals. Like, they push themselves. There's and I would say they're probably the only team in the league this year. It used to be the Chiefs. It used to be the Bills. But this year, it's like really only the Bengals. So, like they've had pass rates that have not been they've had expected pass rates that have not really been that high over the last 4 weeks. High of 67%, low of 64. Above average expected pass rates, but nothing crazy. They've had pass rates low of 72, high of 80, 79%, 76% last 2 weeks. Like they're aggressive. This is kind of like just a different brand of football than the rest of the league is playing. And you can pass on the Texans. They're not bad against the pass, but they're not like this team you have to Titans. You can pass on the Titans. They're not that bad. But they're also not like super formidable. And I mean, obviously Chase is doing his thing. The other thing that was kind of interesting about the Cowboys game is that the Cowboys double teamed Chase and Higgins the same amount, 24% double coverage rate for both. That's like a normal double coverage rate for Chase, but I think that's partly why he went so nuts. He's got a 35% double coverage rate on the season, which is 99th percentile wide receiver. Teams have usually sold out to take him away. The Titans don't double team at a particularly high rate. Now, maybe after seeing what happened last week, they're like, you got to beat us with T. Higgins. But Chase, I felt all season that what was happening in terms of like T and Chase being closer is that teams were taking Chase away and saying, beat us with T. And the Bengals were like, we can do that. We can put up points with T. But the second you don't treat Chase like a huge superstar, he will go nuts. And so, that kind of ceiling, I think, is worth playing.
I mean, look, there's just no way that it's right for the number one wide receiver in fantasy by $1 billion to be less owned than his teammate in tournaments where all the money is coming for getting first place.
Right.
Like, what are you like? I don't know. What is the Titans' pass defense so good? Do they have a great wide? No. Like, is there some great wide receiver, great corner they have that's gonna shut him down?
They're fine. They're like a fine.
They're fine. Defense. They're fine. It totally is what it is. You're feeling fine. The question I would have is, do you feel comfortable with Chase Brown in lineups with them, or do you just do Burrow and Chase on their own?
So I haven't built in terms of like the salary and 3 expensive pieces and what that does. Burrow's not like wildly expensive, but he's not. I mean, he's pretty expensive for a quarterback. So that would be the concern for me. But as far as like, do I think they can all get there together? Like, yeah, I definitely do. Brown is a backfield, right? He's in the Kyron role. He's like Bengals backfield equals Chase Brown. So right there, you're like, okay, I don't really need to, worry too much about like, can a backfield and the number one in a passing game get there together? Like, of course.
Yeah.
So I think they're totally fine to play together. Maybe you go Chase and Brown. Is Burrow at 7,300 going to be required? Even if those two hit, but I guess Brown has enough of a receiving role.
True. It's just I mean, Burrow's very expensive.
He's expensive.
It's just a matter of like, I haven't got down to like building a ton of lineups yet, but I'm guessing that you can probably just get a $7,300 quarterback, honestly, as long as you play one of these punt tight ends.
Right.
And like the Browns defense is 2,200, and they're playing in the rain against a quarterback who was at one time leading the NFL in interceptions. I don't think he is anymore. Also taking a bunch of sacks. Mahomes is now. Like, they can get like 6 points or whatever. So there are ways to get to it. I think I actually would imagine the Burrow Chase stuff gets underowned.
I'm into it, man. I think it's really good
to how easy it is. And then on the Titans side, if Pollard does not play, Pollard has not practiced all week. Now, we've had this situation multiple times already this year where Pollard has not practiced all week and then played anyways and played a lot. So, but if he doesn't play, Spears is 4,300, I believe. I mean, he would just be he's a better play than Gus Edwards was when J.K. Dobbins got ruled out.
I think we want Pollard to play in this game if we're doing Bengals stuff. I think it's important. It's like a big part of what they're going to try to do is run the ball, do stuff off of that. They don't want to lean on Will Levis, and Levis will implode if you put too much on his plate. So, no, I mean, I suppose it's possible. Levis is so volatile that maybe he, in a pretty soft matchup, is able to kind of push back effectively through the air. But yeah, I think the Titans are more likely to be able to make this a game with Pollard. He's kind of fundamental to what they're trying to do. And Spears has not been good this year.
No, I mean, I think maybe Spears is not that good.
I think, to be fair to him, we've never really seen him with 2 ACLs.
2 ACLs.
It might help.
Yes. I'm trying to think. Gesicki. No, there's nothing else here. There's nothing else. Okay. No. Your boy, Pat. New England Patriots and the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of sneaky ownership coming into the games.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler, I think, might be the cash game quarterback. We got Hunter Henry. We have Demario Douglas. We have Marvin Harrison Jr., who's 5,500. Just really, really unbelievable stuff. What do you got on this game?
We talking about, Rashad White coming in the mix here and stealing ownership. How much of that comes from James Conner?
A little bit. The thing is the only people who ever use James Conner are people who use optimizers and sim products. No one ever wants to click on James Conner. So those people are just doing what the computer says,
That's
Like
a great way to scout your competition.
No one clicks. Yeah, no one clicks James Conner.
I think Conner, if no one's clicking him, is a really strong play. New England can't stop anything. Kind of Panthers they're not as bad as the Panthers on defense, but they're not that much better.
They're not that much better.
Yeah,
they're bottom 5 in yards per play allowed, and they're bottom 5 in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers, which you wouldn't think because they have this amazing corner, Christian Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
But I just talked through this with Rebar, and he was like, dude, it doesn't matter. They're ass, and they only play 40% of their snaps in man-to-man anyway.
Right, and I mean it's like a weak link versus strong link thing, and coverage is weak link, and they've got plenty of weak links. So I think the type of matchup you really want from the Cardinals is, for the Cardinals to face is one where the defense can't stop the run or the pass, because as you've talked about, like they got to be able to get the run game going, then be play actioning off of that, and this is just like the spot or one of them where you can see Kyler. I could see this being a really. I'm kind of annoyed that the field is this willing to go back to Kyler after he sucked like a bunch of times. He's lost us all money this year. We get excited for him in these spots where it looks like he's going to be able to put up one of his elite games, and then he just kind of craps the bed. But here they are. Everybody's like, nope, we're playing Kyler this week, and I think it's smart. I think we should be playing Kyler. I think we should be playing Conner. I think we should be playing Trey McBride.
Oh yeah, I mean he's going to be super owned. Owned.
Yeah, but I mean it's all intelligent. The play action stuff is a key part of what the Cardinals do generally. Trey McBride, he's got a 26% targets per out run this year, which is awesome. He's 30% on play action, and maybe Davis, they play action at the goal line. What if they play action at the goal line and get Trey McBride a touchdown?
Feels impossible. It's kind of reached Deontay Johnson 2022 proportions.
Did Jacoby Myers run?
Jacoby Myers run. Yeah. It's very similar to where it's like every time he gets tackled on the 3-yard line, I'm like, yeah, of course he got tackled on the why wouldn't he get tackled on the 3-yard line? Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. May stacks. I mean, the Cardinals are playing this bend don't break defense where they want to keep the receivers in front of them. That feels pretty good for Demario Douglas and Hunter Henry. It feels like this could be like the most completions Drake May has generated in a game.
Yeah, I think the Drake May stuff, I feel best about Hunter Henry. I don't love this for May because I don't trust Alex Van Pelt. He's been, in terms of the pass rate stuff, he's been okay recently. But when they aren't pushed and they have a pass rate like against Chicago, they beat them pretty badly in that game. They had a 51% expected pass rate. They passed 50% of the time. The Colts, they didn't have to pass a bunch. The 60% expected pass rate, a little below average, passed 59% of the time. So if they're in like a game where like the Cardinals don't smoke them and push them to the air, I think they'll be very content to run the ball here against a pretty weak Cardinals run defense. Cardinals have gotten better against the pass, but they're still really bad against the run. So like how many pass attempts do we get? If we get pass attempts, then I start to like May because he's scrambling a lot. His dropbacks become rush attempts at a high rate, and he's fast and good at scrambling. So it's a little boom bust, I'd say, for May. Kind of maybe more of like a large field thing, I guess. Like, I don't know that I'm going to get to many in my small field stuff this week as much as I would love to see him have a big game here. But I can see the path though.
Yeah. I can see I can see the path. Don't know if I'll chase it. I do really like Marvin Harrison Jr. though. Like
Me too.
At 5,500 now, he's priced like Jacoby Myers, dude. It's not like 7,100 and he's got to get 27 to hit an optimal. Like he's the same price as Adam Thielen, bro. 15 can get it done in some lineups.
Yeah, man. Like I could see Cardinals onslaughts being effective here because you're getting cheap Kyler, you're getting affordable Connor. McBride can score like a wide receiver. And then Harrison at 5,500 is nice. Like you could do all four.
Yeah, you could.
I really think the Cardinals could like light up the Patriots here, which at that point May will be effective, but he's 400 less than Murray. So why not just play Murray if your play is to bet on the Cardinals to put up a ton of points? So I think even with some ownership here, I'll probably play the Cardinals, but I'll kind of like lean into multiple pieces. Like I don't think I'm doing like Kyler to McBride singles or anything like that. I would probably be doubling in with Harrison or adding in Connor on a McBride, Kyler stacks, stuff like that. I think this is a good spot to just bet on the Cardinals to be a really effective version of themselves.
Yeah. I think that's correct. Okay. The Indianapolis Colts at the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, like legitimate chalk here. The question I've got is can we get another like a 3 touchdown rushing Anthony Richardson game?
I've been struggling to like articulate or even like I don't think I've ever even tried to articulate this year, but like the thing that's gone on with Sutton is just like so fantasy football where
yes,
if you asked me in week 5 about Cortland Sutton, I'd be like, why are you talking to me about Cortland Sutton? Like I couldn't have like any less thoughts about Cortland Sutton. Like I guess he wasn't a disastrous pick in best ball, but like he wasn't good and he won't be good. And like, let's talk about people who matter, And then now it's like Cortland Sutton. This has been like a smash, But it's like to become a smash, it can be in a season in which like halfway through it, you're like, who cares? It's just it's I don't know. It's one of those things that's just so fantasy football to me.
It's a smash that has left no ripples to anyone who does not play fantasy football.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. That's the best way to put it.
Like no one on earth cares that Cortland Sutton is going to have 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Not even Cortland Sutton's mom is like, "Oh, good for you, man. We're really happy for you, man." It's really
like including
good.
the Broncos. Like they're not that impressed.
The Broncos are like, dude, come on. This is Devon Bailey's team.
Yeah.
Like they can't wait to get Troy Franklin expanded snaps eventually.
Totally.
Yeah. No, you've never been more accurate about something in your life, man. That being said, good matchup for him.
Good matchup.
I mean, obviously you wish this was in the dome. Jacob seemed to think this was a good spot for Jonathan Taylor, where the team would really be. I mean, this is like kind of a important playoff game ish. Colts huge swing here and bad swing for the Broncos if they lose this game.
Right.
To which Jacob said, yeah, I mean, they don't want Anthony Richardson doing too much. Like this is going to be a big Jonathan Taylor game.
I could see that. I mean, this is an elite pass defense. I think the problem for Taylor is that it's a really strong run defense as well. And he hasn't been that good this year, man.
No, he's been terrible. I'm not playing any of him. I don't think one player from this game will make any of my hand-built teams. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I don't think I get to Nix and Sutton, and that would be probably the way to go. But like, dude, Could you? All right. Imagine it's August and we're like, all right, buddy, it's week 15, and you're gonna go down in salary from Nick Sutton to Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison. You're gonna move down on both pieces, and Murray has the better matchup.
Murray has the better matchup. Nick's hasn't even
What
been
the
running.
hell?
Nick's hasn't even been running either. Like
Yeah.
the scrambling has really gone down. Probably not likely to scramble here. Indianapolis does not generate a ton of pressure. Yeah, man. I think Sutton's probably bad chalk. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. We can find other stuff to do.
Yeah, we can find other stuff to do. All right. Game of the slate, if you can figure out how to play it. The Buffalo Bills at the Detroit Lions. Insane team totals here. We've got a 26-point team total for the Bills, 28.5-point team total for the Lions. And of course, people are going to be doing that pattern matching thing of, Josh Allen, 50 points in the dome last week. He's getting 50 points in the dome this week. I don't know, man. Everyone's very expensive. Josh Allen never brings it. I mean, Josh Allen scored 50 points last week and brought none of his teammates with him. Shakir, kind of. I think Shakir had 80 yards and a touchdown.
Got a bunch of targets. Does that count? Got 14.
We got
targets.
14. Got team targets. Yeah. You cover this game. I got to go pee real quick. I'll be right back. You start on this game.
All right. So the way I talked about this game is, I think the Lions are going to be trying to do their Lions thing, right? They're going to want to establish the run. They're very kind of Eaglesy, and you look at their season long numbers about expected pass rate and pass rate relative to that. They're consistently leaning on the run, but for years, under Dan Campbell, it's been very clear that the Lions play to win games. They'll move off of kind of a downhill smash mouth style if they get into shootouts. They've lost one game this year, but they had a 69% pass rate in that game, which is by far their season high. The next highest is just 56%. So if you push them to pass, they will pass. But I think they go into this game trying to run the ball. And we saw the Rams, run voluminously and fairly effectively against the Bills last week. So
that's all they did, man. They ran it down his throat.
Yeah. So I think we know that the Lions are going to try to run the ball from the start, but that they will also accept a shootout if the Bills play their part. To me, that's Jahmyr Gibbs, right? We're getting both ways. We're getting the early. Now, it might be a little tilted to Montgomery early, but we're going to get plenty of Gibbs. He's 1% behind Montgomery in carry share this year. So it's not like he's their passing down back or something. They're split. But then if the game starts to get really nutty, then we could see Gibbs out there more, and Gibbs turning in some of these big plays that are taking this game to the next level. So I'm pretty interested in Jahmyr Gibbs here. I don't think he'll really catch ownership, and he's got a really high ceiling. He's not that expensive at $7,500. You can find ways to fit him.
$300 more than Chase Brown.
Yeah. So he's my favorite piece of this. I think kind of both safety and upside that he provides here. I'm actually pretty into the Jahmyr Gibbs play.
Yeah, I'm pretty into that. I'm pretty into Cooper if you're playing Josh Allen. So yeah, what if he gets
Sure.
14? What if he gets 14 targets again? What if? I think it's just I don't want to do the pattern matching thing of everyone in the Bills game in the dome went nuts last week. And then because I ran a set, 150 set and simmed them earlier, and I got no Bills players, not one. I got some JMO, I got some Laporta, I got some Goff, no Lions running backs. But those are the plays that stand out. Obviously you want Josh Allen. And I do like Keon Coleman a bit too. I think his snaps probably come from Matt Collins, not from Cooper.
I agree.
And low key, this is actually a huge game for both teams. Bills lose this game, one seed's dead. Lions lose this game, they open it back up to the Vikings.
Right.
So it's
And
like
the
a
Eagles.
huge, I guess the Eagles. Kind of, my mind is so dialed into the Eagles being the 2 seed, for playoff festival, and I'm like, they can't possibly get the 1 seed. I got a bunch of dead teams.
You're just like the Vikings will leapfrog them. I'll be fine.
The Vikings will leapfrog. Yeah, it's fine. So I expect both teams to play like a pretty optimal strategy, which should include passing the ball when need be. But you're so right. Like the Lions are just going. It's gonna. You know what this game could actually be a lot like? Could be a lot like the Thanksgiving Day game, where the Lions did not open it up at all. They got up from the jump and they just leaned on them and leaned on them and leaned on them the whole time, which kind of sucks for fantasy.
Yeah, I could see that, but I think that the Thanksgiving Day game was Caleb kind of in like catch-up garbage mode coming back.
Yeah.
And I think what the hope for this game is that the Bills understand who they're up against, as most teams have this year. When you play the Lions, you generally pass the ball. They have a pretty high pass rate against this year, and it's not because they have a bad pass defense. They have a good pass defense. But the Lions put up points. Like, everyone knows that they put up points. They're projected to put up points every week, and then they do. So when you go in there, sometimes you're really aggressive. The Seahawks had an 81% pass rate against the Lions. The Bears ended up having an 83% pass rate, but I think, we're struggling early on a little bit and then putting up points more at the end. But the Bills could come in here and be like, we know, like, based on what happened last week, what if we're a little bit more proactive and we're trying to put up points through the air to begin the game rather than trying to play catch up? If the Lions are put in that script, I think they will open it up, because this is not the Bears defense. The Bills, you can score points on the Bills on the ground and through the air. I think part of the Bears thing is that the Bears aren't good against the run, and they're pretty good against the pass. So kind of continuing to run and play action off of that made a ton of sense there. But here, you could just lean on Jared Goff a little bit more. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is set up pretty nicely here as well. I like him probably more for like draft games than I do for DFS, but I mean, at 7,600, I think he's also a pretty strong play. One of the ways you're betting on this game, like, I'm betting that there's volume in this game. I'm betting that the Bills push the Lions to 60% plus pass rate. Then Amon-Ra starts to look really good, in that kind of script. And I think the Bills could do that. Maybe Brady plays it a little too conservatively, but they're certainly possible. They're certainly capable of doing that. I mean, just again, the Lions, their second highest pass rate of the year is 56%, which is super low, for a high. It's a very low high. We haven't seen the Lions with passing volume except for once, all season. So Amon-Ra has shown a ceiling, even still, but Amon-Ra, Gibbs, some of the pieces that get boosted when there's passing volume, I think are pretty interesting here.
I wonder. This should, I said earlier, Carolina and Dallas would be the game I wish I knew the outcome of. I wish I knew the outcome, like the final score of this one more. If this is 35-28, all the good guys went nuts. Maybe not the Bills. The Bills are like impossible to pin down.
The Bills might not have. Yeah.
Yeah. The Bills, it's like one went to Reggie Gilliam, Josh Allen ran for 2, and James Cook had a 13-yard scamper, and it actually sucked.
All right. Let me ask you this. Who are you checking to see if they're on advancing teams in this game? Sam Laporta or Ray Davis?
Oh, Laporta. I think this is a mega sneaky Laporta spot.
Yeah, no, I like Laporta too. I think Jameson Williams is also kind of interesting here.
So I started the week thinking the same thing. Crane, that's who the middle IQ click in this game is. The middle IQ click in this. Oh, JMO's 5,800, highest total of the week, highest team total of the slate. JMO, man. Josh Allen and JMO. You could play Josh naked. He got 50 points last week.
If this was a 3-game slate, JMO would be like massive chalk, right? We're all just
if this was on Thanksgiving, he'd be the most known player. Yeah, he would. The fact that there are a bunch of other guys at 5K ish make him much less owned. Like he'll be less owned than Ridley, Marvin Harrison Jr. But he'll be about owned as Thielen, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good play. I mean, yeah. But couldn't you see Ray Davis just coming in here and stealing or Ty Johnson or, you know, the Bills are just so unpredictable. I just don't know what's going to happen next.
I mean, they're one of those
teams. A lot of points.
You love the Bills for showdown because they have like 13 skill position players who get snaps. So it's like great for that. You hate them for this stuff. Yeah. Whereas the Lions are outside of the random 2-touchdown Tim Patrick game that happened for no reason, they're very predictable.
Yeah.
I think where I land on this is like if you play like 5 teams, you should do one that's like a stack of this game, but they're not in a vacuum as like individual plays. None of them are that great, really, other than Gibbs. I think Gibbs is really good.
Yeah. But part of why Gibbs is so good is that he's looking like no one will play him.
No one will play him.
So even Gibbs, I think when you look at some of the other plays, like, you talk about guys getting squeezed like Chase Brown, right? Like if Chase Brown actually gets squeezed, then give me Chase Brown. You know, I'd rather have him than Gibbs. I think part of it is, again, like kind of what the field is likely to do. But if that changes, then that would change my opinion of it a little bit. Like the Gibbs is a great play is sort of dependent on him actually being like very low owned. Although if that comes through, then I really do think he is a great play.
Yes, that is correct. And it will be that way. Gibbs is not going to be like the AJ Brown play 2 weeks ago. We're like, oh my God, he ended up being 20% because he's being mentioned on every show. Maybe he'll get to like 15, but probably not even that far.
Yeah. I mean, he's fine at 15. I wouldn't be. Yeah. I'm hoping he's sub 10 though.
Yeah. All right. One of the things I disagree the most with the projections with is in this next game. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to play at the Los Angeles Chargers. I think the Buccaneers can just win this game outright, which is not what the line is suggesting. And I like Baker stacks. I like Baker Evans, Sterling Shepard, and Jalen McMillan are like the only wide receivers $4,000 or below who project for like 5 targets. Like I guess Kayshon Boutte, like that's really about it. 2 touchdowns for McMillan last week.
Open score, Kayshon Boutte. Patriots number 1 outside wide receiver, dead last.
Not that surprising.
Great
great
real program builder that Bill Belichick. What's he up to now?
Dude, I mean, it's neither here nor there, but that is not going to go well, I don't think. It's just my opinion.
The worst GM in the NFL of the last 5 years.
Oh, dude, it's fine. He hired Mike Lombardi.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. I take it all back.
So Rachaad White, if Bucky doesn't play, where are you at on that? Compared to Rico and Chuba.
I think he's better than Rico because it's less like specific, like he's going to get receptions. Like he's got different paths to kind of getting there. I feel like more often I'm going to feel fine about Rachaad White. And then the thing about White is that like he has not run badly this year. He looks like Rachaad White. He's not exciting, and Bucky's run awesome. So compared to his teammate, he's been pretty bad. But compared to himself last year or himself as a rookie, he's been much better. So if he has the backfield mostly to himself, I mean, Tucker would get some run, but if he's kind of the lead guy, he consolidates touches. He's a good receiver. not an amazing receiver, but he's good. And then, he's improved as a rusher a bit. And I also like Baker here. I think Baker can move the ball. So yeah, I mean, Rachaad White, I think, is a pretty strong play, unless he kind of comes up and is part of that Rico. Like if he kind of ties with Rico as like the second tier of chalk behind Hubbard, at that point, I'd be a little bit, I still think he'd be a good play, but he wouldn't be awesome. But if he's behind Rico, I think he's a really, really strong play.
It'll be pretty close. It'll be pretty close between those two, I think. Talk to me about what your stuff has on the Chargers pass defense. Like, because this should be a spot where the Chargers are playing downhill and the Buccaneers. I mean, Baker has been playing well, but in a very Baker Mayfield way, where he's actually been awful throwing these interceptions and then having to bring his team like storming back into these games. He kind of Jameis-y. Creating garbage time in and of himself. I really want to play Baker doubles this week.
Yeah. The Chargers are a very good pass defense. They're second in PFF's coverage grades, but their pass rush isn't that great. They're dead last in time to pressure, 10th in pressure rate. I think, it's going to be a difficult challenge for Mayfield, but if you give him a little bit more time to throw, that could unlock Evans a little bit. They're another one of these teams that has been really focused on getting the ball out quickly. And I'm intrigued by the dead last mark in time to throw. Maybe that unlocking a little bit more downfield production from the Buccaneers here. And then if not, with the coverage being pretty strong, you could see a decent amount of checkdowns, and that's again where I think White is pretty interesting. But it is a good Chargers defense for sure.
Well, sometimes the best cure for a good defense is Baker Mayfield throwing a pick six immediately and having to get the volume back. And then Herbert, I got to be honest, I'm always uncomfortable with the idea of Herbert being like the second most owned quarterback on a slate. He's like a pretty good bet for like between 19 and 24 points, but like a really bad bet for anything over that, just because of the way the Chargers play football.
In his second year, I think I played a ton of Herbert. Maybe it was his third year. There's like that one year where we're like kind of betting on him to really kind of ascend, but the price was kind of high now. It's a little Stroudy. The price is now consistently high, but like he's going to do it. And I don't think I'm ready to do it again. I'm that year kind of that was a good. I'm good for a while. I agree. I think Herbert's kind of he's going to have a good game here. Bucks bad against the pass, second worst in dropback success rate, 25th in EPA per dropback. And he's had one really good game. He's 95th percentile against the Titans in EPA per play. But if he's going to do it, it's probably through McConkey. And what if I just play McConkey and then go do some other stuff? Do I have to?
Yeah, I mean, McConkey, in terms of dominating his team's target volume, is like one of the now Disley's out. My God, yeah.
But why not play McConkey? Like if you're doing now, he's going to be chalky, and the Cardinal stuff's chalky, so this might just sim out pretty poorly. But I want to at least see what does it look like if I tack McConkey onto Cardinal stuff. Is that too owned? But like,
I mean, basically, Sims will tell you more or less, like it's fine. More or less, what the Sims say is that the best plays, like the very best plays, don't get played enough. The worst plays in a Sim's mind are the fancy plays that everyone likes. So, like when Devin Achane would be like 30% owned and project as like the 9th highest scoring running back, they'd be like, "You dumb idiot! What are you ever doing playing this?" Jameson Williams. Sims want to put him in a blender. They're like, Jameson Williams, you'd have to be an imbecile to play Jameson Williams, like that's just how it goes. Like
I love it.
It's kind of Pat. It's kind of like best ball. How like there's types of drafters. Like the Derrick Henry drafter was really likely to draft Zach Moss and way less likely to draft Chase Brown. That's kind of how Sims work, where it's like they kind of want the best plays to be together because the fancy plays tend to be grouped together too.
Yeah. Well, I might do maybe McConkey with the Cardinal stuff. Like Kyler has a ceiling, right? Kyler can run, he can do stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I guess I'm just a little bit skeptical of Herbert. Because the Chargers, we were like, oh, look, they came out of the bye. They're passing now. They're gonna pass a bunch. They just aren't run heavy. They're not pass heavy. They're willing to pass, but they're not like committed to it at all. So, I'm this game could be fun. It could not be fun. Like there's a few different ways this game plays out.
I think it's unlikely to be fun. Honestly,
I don't think Herbert's a very good play. If it's
I really think that. Yeah, I agree.
But I like McConkey. McConkey's because he's the dude. Leads all rookie wide receivers with a 2.38 yards per route run. It's just like a dude. I think we might be taking McConkey in the 3rd round next year with best ball drafts.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, he might go in the 2nd round.
I gotta say, I'm probably out on that price.
Yeah, but I was thinking like what, but it always happens, right? That you're like, no, that's too high, and then you're like, well, he's a 2nd-year wide receiver. He plays with a good quarterback. He's this team's clear number 1, and he just posted 2.3 yards per route run or whatever he finishes with.
Yeah,
that's a 2nd-round profile.
All right, we gotta talk about Stone Smart, man. Where are you at? What can you tell me? What can you tell me? I'll say this. This is what I thought about Stone Smart. I thought Stone Smart was like I'm not really familiar with his game because he's been the 3rd tight end on the Chargers for 3 years. I thought he would be Tucker Fisk, big burly dude, long hair, beard. He's not. He is a kind of svelte guy listed at 226 pounds who played college at Northern Arizona, Riverside College, and Old Dominion. He was a quarterback at Old Dominion. 1 touchdown, 6 interceptions as a quarterback.
See the Julian Edelman of tight ends?
I wonder if he is. But basically, my thought is this dude is a receiving tight end. If you're listed at 226 pounds and you're a tight end, you are a receiving tight end, right?
Yeah, you are. That's pretty small for a tight end. That's like a receiver could be 226 pounds. That used to be what we say receivers should weigh.
He was a wide receiver in community college, apparently. And
in
then
2013, if a receiver weighed less than Stone Smart, we would say they're too small.
Yeah. He apparently did not play wide, and apparently he was a wide receiver in college. I'm reading his Wikipedia page right now. He ran a 4.6240, which is pretty good at 226. I think I just talked myself into Stone Smart. Basically, so I think I'm woke.
Here's some more propaganda. Now he's run 38 routes. So I've got, when I reference all these numbers and stuff and the percentiles, I've got a threshold of a minimum of 100 routes right now. So I've had to lower this all substantially. But let's take it with a grain of salt and still consume it anyway. He's got a 12.6 ADOT, which is like a deep threat-ish, downfield wide receiver. Yeah. He's got a 16% first read target rate, which is pretty solid for a tight end. He's got 2.58 yards per route run. So he's crushing there. 21% targets per route run. He's kind of interesting. I'm intrigued. 47% of his snaps from the slot. I would say this reinforces the idea that we're talking about a pass catching tight end, right? His profile on paper is, again, we're probably getting out over our skis to say this means he's really good, but like this is very much a pass catching tight end profile. Like if 38 routes weren't too small of a sample to use the percentiles, he'd be 98th percentile in yards per route run at tight end. He'd be 87th percentile in targets per out run, 88th percentile in first read target rate. He'd also be 8th percentile in route participation. So that one small issue. But yeah, I mean, as far as a punt play goes, I guess how do you feel about like projecting his route participation this week?
Well, they don't really have another tight end to play because this guy, Tucker Fisk, is like a lifelong fullback style guy. He was on the Falcons last year and is just not a route runner. His career high in snaps was that game against the Bengals where he played 24% of the snaps. He had 2 targets in that game. I'm trying to think, maybe that game is like a good indicator. I don't know.
Yeah, so they had Eric Tomlinson.
And they have a fullback. They have Matlock, who plays some. And Matlock weighs like 300 pounds. I think he's a converted defensive tackle. But without I think he probably gets 4 targets. Probably. That's my guess. I think he gets targeted 4 times, probably. That's like his median outcome. So 2,400, 2,500, I mean, is probably enough.
Yeah. He was at 34% route participation last week. And Disley was at 49. So we say, I mean, he seemed to fill in for Disley. Because Fisk was at 17%. He was actually higher in week 13. He was at 24% there. So I think I would feel comfortable with at least like 55% route participation. And I think there's a chance we get to like 60, 65. How many receptions you'd say? I could say like 3 to 4 I'd feel comfortable with.
Greg Roman, I'm just Googling about him right now. And Greg Roman had some complimentary things to say. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe he's like secretly a better play actually than that. Cuz he seems like an athlete. He seems like basically like the reason why he made the Chargers is he's just like athletic. Like just like this is it's very Doran Dickerson.
Doran Dickinson was a little bit wasn't he more of an H-back kind of guy?
No, Doran Dickerson was like 10 RAS. He's like the most athletic freak of all time.
Okay. I thought he like wasn't a traditional tight end though.
I mean, that's possible. Charles Clay was more of of an H-back. Yeah.
Someone pushed back on my McConkey thing, by the way, and said they don't want 2025 or Rasheed Rice. I'm pretty sure you did. If he doesn't tear his ACL, I'm pretty sure.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, that is probably good for this game.
I think I'm in on Smart, but so wait, should we talk? Because this is a key part of the week. The punt tight ends. It's Smart versus
Brenton Strange.
Brenton Strange, yeah.
And Akins. Yeah. Smart seems like the far and away the most likely one to get like 6 receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown.
That feels correct to me.
Maybe Strange more likely. I don't know. Strange could see like 11 targets though.
Strange would be the most likely to see 11 targets. You're just like, what the hell's going on? Yeah. I think I like Smart the best. I think Herbert seems to like to throw to the tight end. He's there to catch passes. I think I like Smart. Let me pull up his previous years though.
I mean, I know from Showdown stuff he's played before, but not very much. You know, like he was on his time overlapped with Parham.
Mm-hmm.
His
I remember the name. It's just an incredible tight end name.
His career high in snaps came in a 30-13 win against the Chargers last year, and he got no targets.
So his career yards per route run is 1.10. So the 2.58, much higher, and he actually has a decent sample of 245 career routes. So maybe we shouldn't expect too much from our friend Stone Smart, but I'm still intrigued.
Yeah, I'm still intrigued. I think Strange is fine. Akins seems less than fine, but I don't know. Akins is like confirmed mid. Smart is like probably mid, but we don't know yet.
Jordan Akins is also extremely old. He's 32. I thought he was older than that.
Like in my mind, Jordan Akins is like still about to break out. Like Jordan Akins is like, dude, if he just gets some more routes for the Texans, man, just wait. You know?
Yeah, I thought he was like 36.
Who's the other Brevin Jordan, Jordan Akins?
Yeah. Brevin Jordan has looked good, but he got hurt, right? Didn't he?
Yeah.
Tear up his knee.
Greatest timeshare at tight end of all time.
Yeah.
Okay. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Barkley was 30% on last week, and he did not get it done. If you want to play 5% Barkley, here's your chance. All the boomers are playing Henry instead this week.
I almost think like we must, for the best ball bags, we must keep playing Barkley because every time we play him, he busts.
Every time we play him, he sucks.
Yeah. So I think we have enough invested that we can burn 3 more slates.
Yeah.
Of Barkley, right?
By the way, we just talked about Stone Smart for like legitimately 11 minutes. I'm doing the timestamps, and we did just legitimately spend 11 minutes talking about Stone Smart.
We moved on, and I was like, took us back and wanted to talk about it more.
I was like, dude, Stone Smart.
We're still kind of talking about him now.
Still kind of talking about him right now. Yeah. So here's the deal. Are you buying into? Do you care at all about this narrative for AJ Brown about AJ Brown being the squeak? I mean, the 49ers tried to squeaky wheel Deebo Samuel on Thursday, but turns out you can't squeaky wheel a flat tire.
Yeah, the wheel was squeaky because it's got way too much grease on it. I'm messing the metaphor. The wheel was squeaky. They applied the grease, but then the ball slides off the greasy body, instead of going for a touchdown. That's the issue. If you give the wheel too much grease, I think AJ Brown will have an appropriate amount of grease applied. And I don't know if I'm playing him in DFS at 8,000 because I don't trust the Eagles to pass that much.
They're 32 out of 32 in PROE.
Yeah, and just consistent, man. Just week in, week out. Like the Jaguars, they're going to pass. Nope. The Ravens, you can't run on them. Yes, we can. Like they aren't looking to pass the ball. And I bet that Brown is a bigger part of what they do when they drop back this week. But I'm not betting on them to drop back more because Brown's mad. That part I don't buy. I think they'll prioritize him within what they do as part of the game plan that they want to run. But the game plan they want to run, I think, is going to be built around the run and Saquon Barkley. So, yeah, I mean, Barkley's still a strong play. Like Barkley, it's not really about the matchups, man. Like he's having the most efficient rushing season by the NFL Next Gen numbers ever. They go back to 2018. It's the most efficient of his entire career, and he had an incredible rookie year. And the Steelers aren't like amazing against the run. They're not bad, but I don't really see the. I don't think we need to be like overly focused on the match. Obviously, if he's in a clear smash spot, we get excited, but he's been crushing solid matchups all season.
I mean, yeah, like a matchup is not gonna dictate if he scores 2 60-yard touchdowns or not, you know?
Right.
Like, what
Right.
does that matter? What
Exactly.
there's not a defensive scheme that you can create that's like, all right, we're gonna call that play where we don't let Barkley go for a 60-yard touchdown. Like, all right, whatever you do, make sure to not let him get a 60-yard touchdown, okay? Totally. It's like, I bet.
Wait, did you call the one that lets him get the touchdown?
No.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Here, let's look at some of the teams that Barkley has smoked this year. I bet there's like good run defenses in here.
Yeah, of course there's going to be.
Barkley smokes. Okay, the Rams and the Commies, terrible, right?
Terrible run defense.
I think the Giants at the time he killed them, I believe they were a good run defense.
They're mediocre. It's more about they can't stop you from running on them because their offense sucks.
Actually, honestly, dude, he actually has been kind of matchup. He kind of has, because if you look at the games he killed, okay, so he goes 107.
Look this, Davis Maddox says Saquon Barkley's season has just been driven by matchups.
Saquon Barkley's just a matchup
145.
merchant, dude. He's just a matchup merchant. So his biggest games are against the Rams. Their defense stinks. Second biggest game is against the Commies. Their defense stinks. The Giants are middling. He kills the Saints. Their defense stinks.
Terrible. They're terrible.
Terrible. Well, Packers have good run defense.
They're solid. They're like a Steelers level. Like, yeah, they're good.
Yeah, he smokes them. He kills the Jaguars, worst defense in the NFL.
Terrible.
Basically what I'm saying is matchup
overrated.
Merchant.
Saquon Barkley's 2024 season overrated.
Merchant. Yeah.
All right. Confirmed. Barkley will smash. We've become ready to fade again. He's ready to.
No, I probably won't play him because I think for the boomer play is
we have to play him, dude.
The boomer play is Henry, man.
Oh yeah, well Henry's just a good play. He's just a good play.
Just a good play. You know what? You're right. The greatest tight end timeshare of all time is Kyle Granson, Drew Ogletree, Mo Alley Cox, Jelani Woods, and Will Mallory. I don't know what I'm saying.
That's the greatest tight end slide of all time. That's for sure. Yeah.
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 All right. I think that's it. You got anything else you want to play? You want to play Devonta Smith or Calcaterra? No. That Calcaterra touchdown, man. What a moment. I'll never forget it.
I honestly think this is Barkley or bust in this game. I don't have any interest in anybody outside of that. Like at all. I mean, again, I think Brown probably gets a bigger piece of the passing pie this week. But I don't think he has enough sway to make them pass like a bunch more. Right?
I agree. Yeah. I think if anything, they might try to like force a touchdown to him in the red zone.
That I could definitely see.
I could see
that.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Your favorite stack of the slate is who?
Favorite? Let's see. Let me just do a little sort here. I think favorite.
Go ahead.
My favorite stack, I think, is actually Burrow Chase.
Okay, well that was what I was gonna say.
Okay.
So I will do my secondary. I think it's Baker, Evans, and then one of the cheap guys, which is like way off the board. You can play stone chalk with that. You could play Baker, Evans, McMillan, and Stone Smart, and then press optimize and play that lineup, and it will not be duped.
I think the middle chalk Kyler stuff is probably my second favorite.
Got to do Marvin Harrison Jr. with that.
Got to do Marvin Harrison,
not just McBride. Yeah,
I really like Marvin Harrison. I think that's a great call.
Yeah. All right, Crane, tell the people about Legendary Upside, about the sidekick, and we will get out of here.
Yeah, Legendary Upside. We've got the Playoff Best Ball Sidekick now live for Underdog. If you're doing any of the Playoff Best Ball contests, we got our Underdog payouts. You know, you're back in drafting, doing the initial payouts, obviously. Doing some of that. We've got you covered with the dynamic rankings tool. legendaryupside.com/sidekick. Check it out. It is not live as of right now for DraftKings, but imminently we're going to have that launched as a beta. Check out the Legendary Upside Discord. Details on that. legendaryupside.com/perks. Check out all of the perks, including the Discord for members, and you can jump in the beta and test it out when that goes live. legendaryupside.com walkthrough live. We've got rankings and all of that stuff covered for you. But yeah, my game by game preview, the above the paywall this week was the Ravens game, talking through Derrick Henry's ridiculous setup, but some fun stuff in there as always.
Yeah, some very fun stuff. I greatly enjoy the sidekick. I've been using it. Everyone, if you want some free or very not free, you want some very cheap projections, rankings, start sits from Paulson, head on over to 4for4. If you enjoyed this, you can come back over to my YouTube channel. Probably by Sunday, my voice will be better. So I will not sound like this talking about the slate on Sunday morning and Sunday night after it's over. For Karain, for myself, we're out of here. Neil,